So you're the design whiz, and that's really a major part of this business, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's something we've been doing a long time, and we feel very blessed that we have people come from our store in Lawrenceville that we opened in '97. I still have customers that I deal with and referrals from that business, so it's been good.
So would you say when somebody wants assistance, color and design and style and stuff like that, price becomes less a factor? I won't say, unimportant, but less a factor if they fall in love with something like that?
I think so. I think people nowadays are appreciative of the customer service we offer. We still have to be competitive, and we are, and we do, have people check that, and we're conscious of that. But, we want the ultimate outcome to be right, and we want them to be happy. So we want to sell them the products that are of good quality, because we plan on being here a lot more years, and our name and our reputation means everything.
I gotcha. Talk about commercial versus residential. Do you do a lot of commercial business?
Commercial, we don't do a lot of it, but it is starting to be a little more of our business. We're starting to do smaller scale commercials. We look at occasionally doing, I just measured for a country club, some flooring in a place like that. It's a commercial building that they're making into apartments, that kind of thing, but it's a small scale. We do a few, we did a pharmacy, a lot of Main Street commercial, the smaller type. We don't really get into the large scale stuff, but we are getting some of that smaller scale stuff.
I gotcha. Management software, industry-specific software, is that something you guys rely on?
Well, for us, we have a point of sale that is specific to the paint industry, and that's the one we use. We haven't gotten to the point where we're using something like a Q Floors or anything like that yet. We're still manually typing out proposals and submitting them. We have just a spreadsheet we use and plug in the numbers.
Yeah.
So still kind of the old-fashioned way, but that may change down the road as we get more locations. And
I wonder
get busier.
with more locations and more things to keep your fingers on, I guess. Now, you mentioned you're aligned with Shaw. What does that mean? Obviously, you said earlier increased buying power. Talk about the relationship with Shaw.
It's been a good fit because it's also part of Berkshire Hathaway under that umbrella, which the same with Benjamin Moore. So to work with other companies under that umbrella has been good. Really have a good relationship with our reps. They've been good to us in setting up the stores. So so far it's been a good fit. Good products, obviously. Pretty local, pretty easy to get, and that's been helpful.
Yeah, it really has been a good fit for us. I mean, everything you're saying, it's true. I mean, the Berkshire Hathaway, that's a great tie-in for us. We actually approached Shaw and Benjamin Moore both wanting them to do more of this, combined efforts with the two companies, and we're trying to create inroads so, maybe this becomes a little more of a model for other stores down the road. Just the tie-in with the Shaw and the Benjamin.
It's a great idea.
So,
talk about selling paint and floor covering. Which came first, incidentally? It sounds like they both came at the same time from what you said earlier.
Yeah, I mean, when I started working at a Benjamin Moore store in Atlanta back in '93, like I said, we had flooring in there, but we didn't have very much of it. We didn't do a lot of it. When we opened our first store in '97, our own store, we had only paint. Then we slowly started bringing in flooring, and we found out that it was a really good fit because you never know, what's going to be paying the bills every month. 1 month the flooring would help carry you, 1 month the paint would help carry you, and it really made it kind of nice if you have a down month on one and the other one helps make up for it. I mean, I feel a lot of stores that didn't make it through all those tough times, one of the reasons we were able to sustain and make it through all those tough months is because we had both options. And you don't feel like you're desperate where you have to sell at any cost just to keep the doors open.
Yeah.
And we didn't feel like we were in that position. I mean, we had to lower our prices like everybody else did, but we weren't selling stuff at cost just to pay the rent every month. So it's been a good fit. We really like the tie-in with the two.
How does it break down? This is literally half and half in terms of floor space. How does it break down in terms of revenue?
Probably right now we're probably still about 60% paint and 40% flooring. But ever since day one, we've been trying to get it close to 50 to 50, 50-50. And I would say just a couple of years ago, we were probably more like 75% paint. So we're moving in that direction, and we're really trying to get it closer to half and half.
So that would be bringing in new floor covering customers and also selling floor coverings to people that are buying paint.
Right. And when you have paint, a lot of it's going to contractors, and they're not all necessarily flooring customers. But it just takes time, and that's what we've done. And Rebecca's done a great job with the social media, and that's really gotten our name out there and gets us more recognized as a flooring dealer and not just a paint dealer.
Well, I got here at about 10:30, and the paint side was pretty full of contractors. I think that would seem to be sort of a late hour, I guess, for contractors. That says something pretty strong there, I would say.
Still, the traffic situation. You want to plan your day and travel on later morning times has been a better fit for us. Lunchtime is very busy because you don't have that threat of being in traffic. So we sort of plan accordingly.
How about somebody who comes in and is interested in buying carpet or other floor coverings? Is it difficult to get them into the paint? I mean, if they're redoing a room or something, it would seem like they're probably going to buy some paint. Is it easy enough for you guys to interest them?
It depends on at what stage they come in. If they come in at an early stage, then a lot of times, yes, we can kind of talk them into that. And the other factor is a lot of our clientele are not DIY customers in this area. So they're going to hire it done. So sometimes they're not buying the paint themselves. So we have to kind of convince them to get their contractor to come in and use the paint. So it's not necessarily as much DIY, which, it's still a very good market, but it's just a little bit different than what we have come
I guess in terms of the relationship with a paint contractor would be different than a relationship with a flooring contractor, I guess, isn't it?
Right. And we feel that the other store we're going, the coming location will be a little more of a DIY type of client, so be a little different.
I've got you. Now, Rebecca, you were talking earlier about the color color consultation. What percentage would you say? I mean, again, I'm not looking for an exact percentage, but do most people want that kind of help in selecting floor covering?
Oh, definitely. Probably, I would say 60%. They come to us for our expertise in putting it together. I was also a former real estate agent and home stager, so I like to give them advice of making their selections based on standing the test of time, being neutral, especially on floor covering. There's ways you can add color in rugs and runners and things like that. So we try to advise them very honestly and helpful with their projects, and that's been good.
Do most people want that kind of help, even if they don't come in acting as though they necessarily want color consultation or design consultation? It seems like a lot of them really do want that, even if they don't admit it.
They do. They appreciate us guiding them, and a lot of times the next step before they make their final selection will assist them in ordering samples that they can see in the home, in their lighting with their things. So it's a big decision. So we don't want to rush them. We want them to feel comfortable with the final selections because, again, we want them to come back to us on their next project.
Well, that would seem to really endear them to you if they can get advice and make their homes look good like they do on television, I guess. You mentioned wallpaper, you mentioned window treatments, paint obviously is a non-floor covering item. Do you see expansion at some point into other non-floor coverings, maybe countertops, cabinets, or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't really foresee that at this time. We used to do granite and get involved in a little more of that type business, but we found that it was very time consuming, and the price of granite got to be so competitive that it was taking up so much time we couldn't charge enough to make it worthwhile. And we have to be we have to kind of invest our time where it's the most efficiently used,
Yeah.
and that was just, a drain on our time. But I think we got a pretty good mix. I mean, with the wall covering, the wallpaper, the paint and the flooring, it seems to be a pretty good mix so far. If something comes up that we feel we need to add to it, I mean, we've looked at other options, but we felt like we've got enough to keep us busy, that's for sure.
I would say you probably have more non-floor covering, even discounting the paint, than most independent floor covering retailers have anyway, it would seem to me. What's the competition like around here?
Well, I mean, the competition, there's a couple other flooring stores that are relatively close to us, and then, of course, you always got the big boxes, so there's no shortage of places to buy flooring around here. Probably one of the biggest competitors we've seen lately is the companies that like to advertise on the radio a lot. There's the two big ones out there, the 50 Floors and the Empire. They are just on the radio all the time and on TV all the time, so they're always tough because they're always advertising 50% off or 60% off or whatever it is. And sometimes you don't get a chance to compete against those guys because you never get a call. And but we've seen the in-home shopping thing's a big deal, so we try to make it easier for people if they do want us to come out.
Do you do in-home?
We do in-home to a certain extent. We try to get them to come in the showroom because there's so much more to see in the showroom.
Yeah.
But sometimes we just go and do it all in the home and not have them come in the store at all if that's what they really want.
Yeah, it seems like a lot more people are doing that, and they tell me millennials like that for one reason. I don't know if that's true or not, but is that something you feel will be a growth area going forward?
Definitely, I think people go online first when they begin their search, trying to gather their information. We get a lot of phone calls of things they may have seen, and that's what Roy was mentioning. We try to urge them to come into the store because the goal is to build a relationship. We don't want to just rattle off prices over the phone.
Yeah.
That's never been our way of selling. So we know that our online presence has to be big, and trying to do other things. Pinterest and House have been a huge thing for flooring as well as paint and paint colors. So we get a lady coming in with her phone or iPad to show us things, and that's helpful in the long run because it could help us guide them and it saves time.
Talk about the function you see your website playing in the whole business. The reason I'm asking that is I've seen surveys from millennials who couldn't name an independent floor covering retailer, a local retailer. And they thought the big boxes, and that's really all they think of. And it seems like not only millennials, but everybody spends time on the internet prior to walking into a store, if they ever do walk into a store. Talk about how you see your website playing a role in typical purchases. And you both can answer that if you want.
Well, I mean, obviously, Rebecca's more of the social media guru than I am, but I think what I see is the website is important to have as a place, where they can find you as an authorized Shaw dealer in the area. But I think more important is all the things that she has that goes with it. The kind of the compound effect of the website with the House, with Pinterest, with Facebook, with Twitter. That's where she really gets it all. I don't think a website alone would work very well if you don't have everything else with it, is what I think. She puts a lot of time into that, and it seems like it's the compilation of everything. It's kind of like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts kind of thing.
Yeah. So you do a blog too, I've seen.
I do a blog. It all starts with color, and that's been helpful. I try to provide helpful information, giving them insight on wool versus nylon, or site finished versus pre-finished in hardwood, to give people information so they can make the best choice. They appreciate that, and it gets your name out as experts in the field. So after our 18 years of doing this, we feel we have something we can add to the conversation and provide help.
Well, that also helps you with the organic search. So,
Yes.
so you end up further up the pile.